Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to enter the Poserverse. It's Monday, so you know that means we're talking about the top 5-ish books from last week's New Comic Book Day, that if you missed out, you should pick them up on this week's New Comic Book Day. So to see exactly what you missed, you'll have to check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You know what I'm going to say next. 3 quick announcements. Number 1, sorry about the no shop talk on Thursday. We had some technical difficulties and I had some vocal difficulties. You can hear that I'm still getting rid of just crap coursing through my system. But we will be live for reels this time on this Thursday so it'll be what, the 21st? I think. But this Thursday with David Pepos, the author of books like Spencer and Locke, The OZ, Scout's Honor, and the upcoming May 11th release of Savage Avengers #1. So we'll see you there in the live chat, and that's where we'll give away this week's poser pile. So if you come back for tomorrow's video and make sure you comment, you'll be able to win 5 to 7 books from that week. Speaking of poser piles, since we didn't have shop talk, here's 4 of the books that this week's winner will get. From Dark Horse Comics, we've got the new Zach Kaplan title, Breakout #1. From the new Destiny of X arc, this is the ongoing X-Men #10. I absolutely love this Wolverine cover. You've got Miles Morales #37. This is the beginning of the new Lost in the Spider-Verse arc, Trapped in the Spider-Verse, one of those two. And then a book from this week that I was a big fan of, X-Men House of X 92. That if you want to know what the House of X event would look like, or the founding of Krakoa would look like in the 1992 X-Men universe, it would be that book. And I'll pick up a couple of other random modern books from the last couple of weeks that I have to juice that pile up. So I'll screen grab the comment picker here in a second, and we'll see who wins. Alright, I'm gonna edit this right after this video is done, so good job, whomever you are, who just won the poser pile. Congratulations on your victory. Thank you for the support and typing things in the comments. So if I don't know how to get a hold of you, then make sure we hook up and you get me your your delivery information. This will be sent out by the end of the week, probably with next week's poser pile winner as well. So I have a big cluster of quick honorable mentions that I want to talk about. From Image Comics, A Town Called Terror #1. This book is going to be wild. The art in this is absolutely insane. And I think if #2 is as intense as #1 is, that there's a good chance this makes the list in a month. What If Miles Morales Became Wolverine? I enjoyed this. I feel like the first one, the Captain America one, was a little bit better than this one, but you got to see quick hops into different elements of both Miles and Wolverine's storyline. Kaiju Score, Steel of the Gods. This is the beginning of the second arc. I thought this one was pretty interesting. And then the last one is the Image, the 30 Years #1, that basically think of this as a Reader's Digest of a bunch of books or a Reader's Digest of like 6 different stories that Image is going to publish. And you know that there are at least 12 of them because there's a 12-part story in here. And then there are a couple of one-shots and a couple of like 4, 5, or 6-part stories. Coming in at #5 from AWA Upshot is Hit Me #2. This is by Krista Faust, Priscilla Petrates, and Marco Lesko. The Hit Me #1 made it fairly up on the list when #1 came out. And this is, right, you have a woman who is basically into BDSM, that she has clients who will just beat the crap out of her. And, as long as they abide by the rules, everything will be okay. At the end of the first issue, you learn that somebody gets murdered and she ends up with a hot bag of diamonds as she's trying to flee. So in this second issue, she's basically on the run as, she's trying to make sure that the gentleman that she's into, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but he's getting treatment from, there's apparently a medical kink too, so she's a dominatrix who does like actual patch-ups, but you see that they are dealing with him trying to be healed, but they also know that somebody is probably tailing them, and as you get through this, they kind of get an odd feeling about whether or not the woman who helped patch him up may or may not have sold him out to anybody else. And my favorite scene is when you find out that whoever is after the diamonds knows where they are. There's violence with just a massive dildo statue that I think, again, really adds to some of the humorous tones of this book while keeping the intensity high. So far, I've enjoyed both parts of this 5-part series, and y'all should check it out. Coming in at number 4, also from AWA Upshot, is The Joneses. And now that I pull this book out, I can't remember if this was supposed to come out last week and it just got to me, or if this was in this week's releases, but I read it this week, so it's gone in with this week's books. A lot of us, who talked about anticipating this book, kind of talked about it as the idea of maybe the Dark Incredibles, that you have a family living in the suburbs who all survived the plague, but also all ended up empowered, and you're starting to see, these people on the ground up dealing with the concerns of some of their neighbors about empowered individuals living among them. And while you're seeing some of those conversations happening at a fundraising event, you see that other members of the family, are either using their powers to fight crime, or the mother, who cannot control her electroshock power, gets transported back home by her son, who can do some teleportation. And we see a lot of odd conversations about use of powers, hypocrisy among members of the family in terms of the things that they've said. And what really, really intrigues me about this book is what happens in the final pages, as basically a neighborhood watch style group comes together to report empowered peoples. We'll figure out what happens. But really good book. I, again, am enjoying the AWA books like Hit Me, that may not have a clear tie-in to this larger shared universe of the different events, in the same vein that I'm liking the Joneses like Moths, which is a clear tie-in to the Resistance and Resistance Uprising books that focus on empowered individuals. Coming in at number 3 from Image Comics is Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog number 6. This is by Rodney Barnes, Jay Sean Alexander, Simon Kurdansky, and Luis NCT. I think I incorrectly identified this in the pull video as the beginning of the second arc, when this book is, I think, it's the end of the first arc. It's the sealing of the first case where Nita is dealing with the evil forces. What I really like is the relationship between Nita and Sangster that gets kind of explained in here in terms of the role that it may have in terms of Nita suppressing some pain, and how the dark forces kind of responsible for taking Nita on and causing other wild shit to happen kind of knew that would be her pressure point. So good stuff all around at the conclusion of the first case. I can't wait to see more of this kind of crazy occult tie-in world to show other, bonkers things that are happening in the Philadelphia universe that aren't directly tied to the events of the main title. Coming in at number 2 From Vault Comics is The Rush number 5. I'm pretty sure I said in the pull list video from Tuesday that this was going to be the first book I read this week, and it was. So again, if you're not familiar with this title, you have a mother who is looking for her son in the Yukon territory, or Yukon adjacent, and he has claimed his deceased father's claim during the gold rush. You learn that there are, some kind of beast that is haunting the area. You know that people are driven to literal madness and mania in terms of pursuing this gold. And you see an identified change in the mother's story in this book. You finally may have found what has happened to the son, and you find out that one or two other people might not be the straight shooters that we think them to be. This is the next to last issue of this title as well, and I really think that Cy Spurrier and the rest of the creative team on this book, have delivered a solid period horror story that I didn't think I would be into. But who am I kidding? I love everything else that Cy Spurrier has done, and I'm not shocked in the long run that I love the story after I've read it. And then there was one. Maybe this is a bit of confirmation bias. Maybe, this is me stacking the deck. Maybe this is me being a homer for a particular title. But the statement that I made in Tuesday's video in talking about this book was, it's gone 3 for 3 in terms of issue 1, 2, and 3 all being the top of the list. And we wanted to know if number 4 would do it. Spoiler alert, your pick of the week from, the 13th of April? Reign number 4. So from Image Comics, this is written by David Boer and Zoe Thurgood and Chris O'Halloran. This is an adaptation of a Joe Hill story, and basically you're dealing with a reign of needles. In this book, we know that Honeysuckle was kidnapped and is dealing with trying to both get away from the person who wants her to drive him to Canada in this giant bulldozer filled with bodies. But we also know that she is still looking for her girlfriend's father. And things, take a very hard emotional turn when she does make it to her significant other's home, and you see that she's getting the side eye from a neighbor who used to have his daughter watched by Honeysuckle's significant other, and he starts going on this homophobic rant, right, that the rain is Sodom and Gomorrah coming down, we should have learned our lesson from you sinners, blah, 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 blah. And we find both the fate of Dr. Roostad, but we also find out who may have had a hand in it, and we see if Honeysuckle gets a taste of judgment. While the middle of this book is quite sad, because you find out that, people are acting, crazy in different ways in this, that we find old ways of hate to still manifest itself while religious fanatics are popping up, while prisoners are escaping, while you see a very tragic scene of all of the piled up animals in the zoo impaled by the rain. So I really think that the gentleman that she runs into, justice is served when she lashes back out against him for being a homophobic piece of shit. So what do you think? Am I a homer for Reign? Is it justifiably 4 for 4 the best book of the week each time it's come out? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But don't forget about Shop Talk on Thursday, y'all, where we'll talk Savage Vengers and all other kinds of good stuff with David Pepos. So make sure you're there with us at 9:30 Central. As always, y'all, thanks for stopping by. And have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.